My brain's splitting off in so many different directions. My brain's splitting off in so many different. My brain's splitting off in so many different directions that no one has the answers to. My dad was a shrink. Certain things upset me. And my dad was a shrink. Certain things upset me. And my dad was a shrink. Things upset me. What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? Questions that no one has the answers to.
I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where we talk about racism and comic books. That's what we do.
I bet you Yusuf Cole or someone has a good a guest appearance about that. This is not that podcast. We talk about it.
It's the podcast where we read Yusuf Cole's tweets.
There's probably that's out there. I promise.
It's a podcast where we read other people's opinions and then recite them as our own so we can appear woke to the general populace.
No, we're not doing that either.
Okay. Am I on the wrong show? Like, I thought she booked me for this. This is not the thing?
No, we were talking about Ecstatic X-Force.
Oh, yeah, we could do that.
That's us.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of a small little arc called Lacuna. The X-Force is a team of, barely functioning celebrities at this point. And we have this weird character who is showing up to play pranks on them in the middle of a kind of a time of strife where our billionaire owner wants to insert members and some members don't want those new members in. He's encouraging civil war within the group so he can sell video games. There's a whole bunch of shit going down. One of our main characters seems to be on a lot of drugs. And then we have to deal with this Lacuna woman who has crazy time-stopping powers, as we're going to see. I love this cover.
Oh, yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
This is the Lacuna pinup.
Yeah.
Of her standing in the middle of a clock, throwing all the members of Ecstatics outward.
Yeah.
From her, kind of like swirling through time. Really cool.
It's a bit of a Will Graham clock. Like, it's a little off. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like Hannibal asked you to draw this thing, and you're kind of fucked up about it. So I don't know if you've seen Hannibal. I don't know if that joke lands. If you haven't seen Hannibal, I'm sorry.
No, I haven't seen it, but I know enough from it, just from hearing from you and Will and kind of the interim, to have understood not why that joke was funny, but that it should have been.
Okay,
to me.
That's good. So, that's as long as you understand that it should have been funny. I think we're on the same team.
Yeah, and mostly I'm representing the listeners on this. One of the things about Mike Allred, my favorite artist in comics, is that his wife Laura Allred is such a integral part of it, and I love the coloring.
Yes,
that's going on here. This is strong yellow and red theming here. By taking a scene and just really using color, these flat colors really intentionally. Yeah, this just looks incredible.
It's absolutely,
and it continues for the issue too. The first couple pages have these monocolor backgrounds, and they just look great. These very bright, beautiful colors. Really pops on the screen. If you're reading this digitally, I remember reading this in person and just being like, wow, this is a great cover. This is great art. So
it's the good shit.
It is the good shit. We're on the good shit lollipop.
We start out with a little bit of dialogue from the anarchist, and this is going to be a flashback to him being a child. He grew up in an area in the north where the winters were very, very white. In fact, the whole area was very, very white. And he gets made fun of for his color rubbing off on the snow. He's leaving black marks on this. You're smudging the snow, the kids say.
Yeah. And this isn't a story of him being traumatized, by this or anything. He laughs. Mm-hmm. He's in on the joke. And this is him, his kind of origins of, having this, good life. His parents loved him as adopted parents. He was adopted, but he, was the one black kid in an incredibly white area of the world. I always think of this as Canada. I don't know why. It could be northern Michigan or something as well.
Yeah. Any place that it snows, really. That shit's fucking. Yeah. It might as well be on Saturn, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Fuck snow.
Somewhere far away from Jeremy.
Yeah.
And because he didn't fit in, he started washing his hands. Like he tried to wash his color away.
Yeah.
You know, and this is kind of the beginning of his hand washing OCD.
Mm-hmm. And they were like his parents, his adopted parents, were super cool about this. Like they didn't really care that he looked different or anything until he started exhibiting mutant powers, and that's when they got a little bit worried.
Yeah,
and yeah, from there, we go to the current time where he's sitting on the pool, like confronted with Lacuna, going like, I don't know, like here I am, like super rich and famous now, and like. I don't expect me to make sense out of this. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. They're saying, you know, she's threatening suicide. They're saying like, hey, you know, this isn't how it works. And he vouches for her. He's like, why not? You know, let her into the party. You know, they kind of go back and forth. This actually kind of goes back a little bit, you know, in time to the suicide as they can kind of continue the discussion. Orphan says, you know, new members not only have to have track records, it's also a death sentence. If you don't have training, you're going to die. And she's like, I'm willing to die. And Anarchist is like, why? We're not the Fantastic Four.
That's such a good response. I'm willing to die. Why? You shouldn't be. This is not that important. There are other things that you can be doing with your life.
Everything the Yugo girl does in this whole thing, all the dialogue is golden.
Yes.
You know, like, would you believe they say we're only in it for fame and money? And she's like, no, that's a lie you tell. That's an image you have to represent. You're a new kind of hero, a hero that makes sense in a world that doesn't anymore. And she's like, do we have room in the PR department? Like,
it's, you know, really throwing shade.
You're articulating our lies very well.
Yeah. You are obviously sold on this product more than we are. And we work here.
Yeah. Yeah. Super, super good. And then she stops time. We see how it works. She kind of walks through a tear in reality. Everything becomes sepia tone except for Dupe. Her powers don't work on Dupe because Dupe is this magical being.
Yeah.
And we get her inner monologue, like where she's kind of beating herself up, like, you know, these guys don't want me to be genuine. I need to be ironic and cool, like you go girl, you know. And oh man, Anarchist stood up for me, like. You know, I know this is childish, but like I really like it. I've never kissed a black guy before. You know,
which I think kind of plays into like the thread of racism throughout this arc, really. But like throughout the last couple of issues of like white women treating black guys as like a fetish, right? Or like people treating black guys as a fetish, and you know all of that weird stuff that's around that. Like that's like she's going to do some more of this later, which is a little bit uncomfortable. But like it's not like the focus of this at all. Like she's just trying to figure out how she deals with this team and trying to figure out how to ingratiate herself to them. And it's, I don't know. It's just it's a very like, it's a small line for a lot of impact, I think.
What's interesting, again, you know, I said this last episode, but I think it bears repeating, is that I can't really speak to how Peter Milligan talks about race insofar as black people. And that will continue to come up throughout this thing. But I think he nails white people's discomfort and you know, pathologies around race pretty well. Like this is pretty well observed. Like this isn't something I'm proud to admit, but I'll say it. Like the first time that I like kissed a black girl or had sex with a black girl, there was a weird novelty to me because I'd never done it before.
Yeah. And
that's not how I should think, right? Like I don't think that's healthy or good or defensible, but it was something as like a white dude who grew up in a shitty rural town where there weren't a lot of black people. It did have, and for lack of a better word, a novelty. I didn't fetishize that novelty. That's not who I am. But I was just kind of like, you know? You know, it did give me a little pause, and I would love to say that like I'm woke enough that it didn't even matter to me, but I did think about it.
Yeah,
you know, not proud of it, but it's true. I think that it is something that does happen.
Well, I think growing up with the internet and being a white cis dude surrounded by a bunch of rural white cis dudes, and just probably just like general urban white cis dudes, that becomes a fetish of like, oh, like. You know, there's all kinds of gross stereotypes out there, but like, oh, you got to collect the whole set and things like that. Like, I definitely had dudes around me talking about that kind of stuff. So it's really difficult not to internalize a bunch of that. And, you know, I mean, you and I have talked a lot about on this podcast about like, hey, we're both, I think you're 40, right? Like you're, I'm 39, so I'm a little bit younger. You know what I'm saying?
You're a baby.
But we're, you know, we grew up in weird times, and we've had to like divest ourselves of a bunch of internal monologues and thought processes that we grew up with because everything around us was shitty, and we had nothing else to compare it to. Like it was just and of course, like as you grow up, you realize like, oh wait, like if you really think about what I'm saying, like I probably shouldn't be like the 21-year-old guy that has the 27 child rape jokes in his back pocket. Like that's not cool.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants child molestation jokes nowadays. Like that's not a cool thing to do. It's gross and it's bad and it's exploitative and all of that stuff. Like you learn about yourself as you do that. So it just takes a while. Like I think it just takes a long time. And yeah, like I'm the same thing. Like and again, just going back to the line of just like, oh yeah, I've never kissed a black guy before. Like it's just a real impactful line for a dude who is like trying to scrub the black off of his hands as a child. Like it's just like connecting those two in a fucking comic book is crazy to me.
It's weird. It's simultaneously, it's like Chekhov's dealing with racism, or not Chekhov. Yeah. Where like not Chekhov, Schrodinger's, where it's like, I can't tell. It's simultaneously suspect and then also really well observed. So good stuff. She kind of plays some pranks and she steals Eddie's script.
Yes.
Edie's script.
And it's her whole spiel for the show that she's doing tonight. And the name of this issue, by the way, is Larry King has the flu. Larry King's got the flu. And we're going to see that line repeated like a couple of times in a really humorous way. And the first one is here. And because she's like, this is my whole thing for tonight's show. And the guy's like, what show? And she's like, well, Larry King's got the flu. So I'm guest hosting kind of a trial for my own show. And I'm going to be interviewing the Spike, and you and Anarchist to show up and like really turn it into a thing and like have a whole big event about it. And of course, our good friends Vivisector and Fat are like, perfect opportunity for us to do our thing as well.
Yeah, we come back to Lacuna coming out to her parents as a mutant. Is like, oh, you seem like you're a perfectly normal young woman. She's like, I am normal, but I'm a mutant. I can slip in out of time, like time travel. Like, no, I can kind of pop in between moments. Like everyone else is frozen, but I can do things. I'm only telling you this because I'm going to go public on the Larry King show tonight. Larry King won't be there. The dad says, why not? And the mom's like, he's got the flu, because everybody knows this.
So funny. Everyone's keeping up with Larry King for some reason.
I love this. This is very funny to me. Again, well-observed things. Like she's like, I understand if this freaks you out. You got a mutant in the family. It can't be easy. And they both just crack up. Like this is great. Wait until I tell Martha. And she broods and she's like, why do they always have to be so understanding? Why can't they be a little bigoted? In a very teenage way of trying to rebel against her parents.
Yeah. I love it's the parents, by the way, like during this whole thing are gardening, and they've got like just extreme suburban gardening outfit on. Like, she's got the little scarf with her hair tied back. They've both got the knee pads because they've got sensitive knees. Like it's very, like, you've seen these people do this. Like it's very apt. And so from there we go over to backstage at Edie's show, where she's freaking out a little bit. And they're kind of talking about the Spike, and she's like, hey, look, like we're going to talk about why he was rejected. And then you guys come on, and then you guys like get in his face about it. And Guy says, like, I don't really think that we should reject him. And of course, this is a surprise to Anarchist, who's like, is it, I thought we had agreed on this. And Guy asked, what's your problem with him? Is it because he's black? And Anarchist looks at him and is like, yeah, absolutely it is. And of course, Edie's like, say it on TV. Wait.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah. Wait for all of this. This is all good content.
Yeah. And he says it's kind of paranoia. He's like, if you want to know the truth, I know what'll happen. Like, I'm going to get killed off. This always happens, like in these setups. Like once a new brother joins up, and this is his words, I'm not just referring to black people's brothers. The poor brother that's already there is already on the team. Better not start reading any long novels. And I love this thing where like Orphan's like, I think you're being a little paranoid. He's like, no, I'm being a lot paranoid. How long do you think they want 2 black people on the team? This ain't basketball, man. Like he is aware of, the kind of racial realities of this, like what kind of diversity is good for their celebrity and what kind is more than people want to, to deal with. And this was in like 2002 or so. Like I can't remember when this issue came out exactly. But it's, this is pretty like relevant stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, like this is stuff that like gets talked about now in terms of like, it's not enough to have a token character, but also people will have a bad reaction about an abundance of diversity.
Yeah. They're fine with one, right? Like there can be one, but if we add more to that, then it becomes a black thing.
Yep.
And he offers this compromise of like, hey, I'll tell you what, you can bring on the Spike if you also bring on Lacuna as well, and because Anarchist is like, I think she likes me, and I think she might be on my side, and like I have a feeling I'm going to need all of the help I can get. Like he's trying to pack the courts of the X-Force. With
back to the X-Courts.
Can't wait for someone to be listening to this in 2026 and not understand that reference because we don't have.
They'll understand it because we won't. Yeah, because they'll understand it because we won't succeed.
Yeah, we won't have any courts anymore.
The Supreme Court will eventually just be one judge, and it'll just be an immortal GOP like robot.
It'll be a TikTok account.
So, yeah. I love this thing where Lacuna is getting in to the thing with her parents, and she's like trying to get her parents not to come. Like, I don't need help, Dad. I gotta do this on my own. And the mom is like, maybe we can cause some kind of diversion. Your father and I could start to make love.
Like, please, no, please stop. No, absolutely not. And the parents are all into this. Like, they're old hippies. But we're hippies that realize like Billion a Millionaire and living in a mansion in Malibu isn't against like. Doesn't mean that they're bad hippies. You know, they're self-justifying to themselves. Like, you don't have to be poor to be alternative. And they're really excited about the X-Force, like pretending to be good people. This is like the first time I think that we've seen like this weird skin effect on Lacuna. Like, what is happening there? Like, to separate her out from everybody else.
It's happened before, but it's inconsistent.
Okay. And
it's weird because she comes out as a mutant. What I think is that Mike Allred, when he does character designs, he likes having these, you know, like Edie and Orphan, you know, be these kind of different colors. So he thought it was cool to have her have this kind of psychedelic skin. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it was in the script, because if she has this, her parents would, you know, probably suspected that something was up.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of her being a mutant. So that is my guess, but I've looked around, I've never seen it explained. But we have seen it before in this issue. It's not consistent.
Gotcha. Also in the background here is Fat and Vivisector like working the crowd and obviously being super drunk or super high on something. Like they're a little fucked up and having a good time with it.
Yeah, there's a real theme in this comic of people doing drugs to psych themselves up.
Yeah.
We go over to the interview where Edie is doing her monologue, and it's nonsense. You know, like, we Americans like success, we're scared of failure. We treat it like the flu that has sadly laid your usual host low. We don't want to get too close in case it's infectious. And it's like, this is nonsense. And they call her out for this. Like, Anarchist, like, what is she talking about? And Orphan's like, she's nervous and babbling.
Yeah.
And she introduces the Spike, who comes on sunglasses and a gi, which I love. I think this is very funny.
Goals.
Yeah. Absolutely. Just like pretty badass.
It won't happen. But like, if you ever get to be on the Tonight Show, right? Like, coming out with something like this is a baller move. I mean, and also like, if there was a situation where I got to be on the Tonight Show, I would just wear the fucking suit. Like, I'm not stupid. Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be great if you wore the gi and the sunglasses?
Yeah. Yeah. Just bare chest. This is Orphan and Anarchist talking about this, and he's like, I think he's had cosmetic surgery on his pecs. He's on steroids. Orphan's like, I thought we all were. That was a joke, Tyke. I decided I should tell more jokes. That's his little Cyclops moment for this issue.
Really,
like,
really, really funny.
Yeah, I love that. And then we go back to the interview, where Spike is just spilling tea. Like, maybe Anarchist doesn't like me because he was brought up by white folks in a white part of the country. Like, he might look black, but he might act black, but it's all an act. And Anarchist pops out to confront him. And they're going to actually have a conversation, but then Fat and Vivisector bust through the wall, fully powered up, and knock down the wall. So the X-Force has to save the studio wall from collapsing on the audience here.
Yes.
Including the Spike.
Yeah. Edie yells at these two for like, what the hell are you doing? You're not supposed to be here. And they're kind of drunkenly being like, yeah, we're just, we're completely capable of doing something reprehensible, just like you people.
Yeah.
And this is where Lacuna decides to make her move, and she freezes time and steals all of their uniforms and leaves them in their underwear. Lacuna's ideas are so funny to me. Like, they're just so like, they're almost like Tobias on Arrested Development, where she is just so fucking clueless and like, maybe this is a good idea. I don't know.
Yeah. Never stop to think things through.
Exactly. Yeah.
And she even says, like, I hope in the future when I'm part of the team, we can look back on this and laugh. And I wait to see all the X-Force's underwear. I love Guy Smith's like underwear that has the same sensitivity.
Yeah.
Kind of patterns and
Xavier had to put that dot on his dick. Like,
yep.
You know what I'm saying? He was like, "Oh, the dick's probably going to go here. Let's put a dot on it." Like, I'm designing it. I'm fashion designer Xavier today. So,
yeah, it's super good. Vivisector asked Fat to expand and kind of hide everyone's embarrassment. Edie, who is topless at this point, is like, leave me alone. And Lacuna pops up again and goes, "My name is Lacuna.
Hello.
Hereby posting my official candidacy." As everyone's screaming in the background, Edie is like, "Put our clothes back on, you bitch." And Orphan is like, "Please, Lacuna, the bright lights are hurting my skin." Like, everybody's having this problem.
And then her parents are in the background like, "That's my girl. Like, we're so proud."
Yeah.
Lacuna redresses everybody, and just like, one of those fascinating moments of what has to like what does this look like? Just like the idea of her freezing time and like very carefully taking off like jeans, like too tight jeans and stuff is just very funny to me. Very good stuff.
Yeah. We cut over to Edie and Orphan having dinner afterwards, where Orphan says, like, Tyke, the anarchist, thinks you might only be interested in me because you can control the team. And she's like, "Maybe, but I'm probably interested in you for a lot of reasons. Listen, without a special costume to stop it hurting, how do you, how do you fuck?" And he's like, "Well, Professor Xavier, he devised a special ointment made from the same kind of fibers used in my costume. It numbs the pain for a few hours."
Thank you, Xavier. For
Every
getting me laid.
in this, Jeremy, it is a recurring joke in the series, and when we start seeing Xavier and his hall of suits and like the things he does to make sure these mutants can have sex, it is one of my favorite low-key jokes in this whole fucking series.
It is so good. I love this. Like, he's concerned, man. He's very concerned.
Yeah, makes a suit and he's just like, "I've been developing this ointment in my home lab." It's like fucking real creepy,
dude.
And this is, real flirty. She's like, "I've ever told you how good I am at rubbing on ointment." But Lacuna interrupts this. Edie's like, "Please tell me I don't have a champagne glass on my head." And Orphan just says, "You don't have a champagne glass on your head." But Edie freaks out, throws the glass.
Yeah. And starts screaming about Lacuna, right? Like, you can't, this has to stop. You can't keep fucking with this. Lacuna appears and is like, "Hey, I just want to show you how useful I could be." And Guy has to like physically restrain Edie from kicking this woman's ass. And he's telling her like, I'm going to vote her in. I think that's good stuff. And Edie's like, "What are you? I can't believe that." She's like, "Yeah, like Tyke really wanted her in, so I'm going to go with Tyke." And when Lacuna hears this, she's like, "Oh shit, yeah, hell yeah! Like, I'm going to go see Tyke, aka the anarchist."
Yep. Yeah. This is real good. So Edie downs her drink and is like, "I just hate the way she disappears like that." And I think this is a very relatable moment when things are getting intimate. And then you say the wrong thing that literally just puts you on the track to nothing, and it's just literally a moment. And Orphan just like jealous. And it was the only wrong thing, the exact opposite of the right thing to say.
Yeah.
As Cole likes to say.
And then just goes further, right? And is like, like, "Oh, it could be the same problem that Tyke has where, she's younger than you and you're jealous of that. And like, she can zoom out of places and you're having problems."
She doesn't get tired, He tries to play it off as a joke. She teleports away and he's like, "Where are you going?" She says, "None of your business." And he goes, "What about my special ointment?" Which I just like, that is I was going to get laid with my special ointment moment. I think is very funny.
The idea of hearing this word, this sentence out loud is just incredibly cringe-inducing to me. Like, "But what about my special ointment, baby?" Like, it's just so it's so pathetic.
Yeah, incredibly pathetic. This is starting a little bit of a wedge between these two characters. We cut over to everybody. Anarchist went off with Fat and Vivisector just to go hang out with them. He's hedging his bets, like trying to get allies.
Mm-hmm.
And he's winning through gambling, winning a lot of money. He goes to go wash his hands after touching all the money, and Lacuna kisses him in between moments, which is not necessarily cool.
Yeah.
To kiss somebody without their consent.
Also,
he does not mind it.
She's definitely the reason that he was winning, right? Like, that's
No, actually, this gets revealed later.
Oh, okay. Because it's just because
yeah.
like the guys, I think Vivisector's like, you keep winning, and he's like, yeah, no sweat. And I just assumed that she was stopping time and changing the dice.
That makes way more sense than what actually happens.
Okay, so, interesting.
it's weird that this gets paid off, but it does.
That's a weird thing, because I said that as if it was going to be an aside, and it's weird that there's like stuff there. I'm surprised that there's a lore here. This is what I'm saying.
In like 5 or 6 issues, we will get the reveal of how Anarchist won gambling. True believers. We cut back to the team. They're in the lobby of where they show their reels, and they look at their post game or where they try out new members. And Orphan and Yugo Girl are not getting along. Vivisector pops up and says, "Guy, it's agreed. You'll publicly reprimand us for outrageous behavior, right?" And they're like, "Yes,
we're definitely going to say that you have been a total and complete dick."
Yep.
Lacuna is not here. Like, this is they're preparing for a press a press briefing where they were going to introduce the Spike and Lacuna, but Lacuna is not there. And of course, Edie is just on the phone, like she's trying to get with the network, and they've been ducking her calls.
Yep.
And while this is happening in the background, the Spike goes up to the Anarchist and says, like, "Oh, and hey, don't go starting any long novels." And there's this thing here, is like, that's what what he really said was, actually, you don't really want to know what he said.
Yeah. Which makes sense. We have an unreliable narrator in this, and like the Spike wasn't there for that line, so we can't really call back to it. But Anarchist is translating it for us.
Yes.
I love when we cut to the press conference and it starts with Orphan saying, "So now that I've dealt with those X-Force bad boys, Fat and Vivisector." It's really funny to me.
Imagine and like neither one of them are happy with that, right? Like they both look like they're like really bad boys. Is that what you're calling us?
Those X-Force bad boys. They introduce the Spike. It says, "In spite of the media, we are really pleased to have the Spike on board, and also Lacuna, but Lacuna fails to show." And at the same time, Edie hears from her agents that they canceled her show, the network.
And from there, we jump to who they gave the show to, which was Lacuna. She's going to start a new reality show. And of course, she was excited to join X-Force, but she found her true calling, which is going to be revealing all of these secret details about celebrities. And she can sneak in and find out what's in there, what happens on their wedding nights, in their bathrooms, even in those quiet moments of despair when they think they're safe from prying eyes. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Yep. The idea of celebrity is pretty gross in this.
Yeah. And she's like, I thought that I would join X-Force. I thought it was important to me when I asked, but I realized that was never really important. What I really wanted was to be a disappointment to my parents.
Perfect.
And her parents are watching crying as she has now become this like Hollywood celebrity obsessed monster.
Yep. And then, and this when we go back to our group who are reviewing more reels, and they are talking about bringing Dead Girl, who has a lot of potential. And then Fat is like, "Ooh, what about that Venus de Milo? She's a babe." Meanwhile, Edie is like trying to find another angle to make some money, but is refusing to advertise like lift and spread bras.
Yeah.
And she's threatening to get a new representation, a new agent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that ends with a callback to the little joke in the first one where Anarchist was guessing that the popcorn was stale.
Yes.
And that's the end of this issue, this little 2-issue arc. And we're going to do some one-shots after this, some kind of like one-offs.
Yeah.
That are good and fun.
I'm glad you told me that Lacuna is coming back, because I really enjoyed her character. Like I thought, like it's I mean, she's not like a great character or anything, but like I just really enjoyed like the lightness of it, I guess, of just her being kind of just excited about the X-Force, but also a dumb kid trying to figure shit out. And it makes perfect sense that she would go into this like horrible reality show business. Like it's going to be interesting to see where she ends up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get she's never a major character.
No, I don't. I definitely don't want her to be. She keeps
this job.
Yeah,
like she shows up because in this world she runs Lacuna and the Stars. And that ends up being kind of a steady kind of presence in this,
which is perfect. That's what we need.
Yeah, it's very good. And that's this issue, and that's this episode.
Yeah, really, really good. I'll be interested to see how this relationship between the Spike and the Anarchist like continues to develop, because like this like undercurrent of like who's blacker is really interesting. I keep going back to Lovecraft Country on this podcast when we bring this stuff up, but it's just like the most recent thing. Like they had a whole episode that was about passing of like light-skinned black people being able to pass as white people, and they related to this into some weird crazy mystical shit that they got into on the show, and very, very interesting stuff. And like I kind of feel I see a lot of that coming out in this. I don't know whether that's intentional or not, because everybody on Lovecraft Country, all the writers are black, and obviously Milligan is not. So, but it'd be interesting to hear what that dude has to say about some of that stuff.
Yeah, I would be curious. As far as I know, Milligan hasn't done a lot, since then, really in the last like 10 years or so. But I could be wrong about that as well. I'd be interested as well, and I can't wait to watch Lovecraft Country once it's over.
It is.
It is. Yeah. I did not know.
It's 10 episodes, I think. Goes by real quick.
That's great. Mm-hmm. Good to know. I will definitely have to check that out.
Yeah. I don't know that it's been renewed for a season 2, or even if it was, if they could really like continue those characters. Like I feel like it would have to be an anthology situation like Fargo or something. But it's
kind of weird because it's based on a book.
Yeah.
So if they finish the plot of the book, like I'm sure they could continue, but
and they.
Well, I mean, it's yeah. No spoilers, man.
Yeah,
I gotta check it out. I'm gonna watch that and Watchmen. I'm gonna get HBO Go for a month and.
Autumn read the book, and like she remarked upon the difference in some pretty heavy scenes of like your group of main characters like driving across the country to go somewhere and dealing with like racist stuff along the way and like having like really uncomfortable scenes in the show that are just not in the book whatsoever. And I've seen some people online being like, they changed too much about the book, I don't like it, and I've never read the book, so I can't remark about that. But like the weird uncomfortable racism stuff and mixed in with all of the weird fucking mystical magic shit is like why I was there for that show. So that stuff is the stuff that appeals to me.
That's fascinating to hear, because it's been a while since I read the book, but my memory of it is that there is quite a bit of dealing with racism in it. But it's been a while since I've seen it, and I can definitely believe that the TV show foregrounds it more.
Oh yeah.
But in my experience, it was present in the book.
I hate to do this, but like if recommendations of poison or that, but if you watch it, like I actually listened to that podcast that they produced alongside it. Like it's one of the writers. It's 2 black women talking about it, and they get guests on from they get the showrunner on the last episode, but they get like actors and actresses from the show itself, and they go deep on the topics that they are dealing with. So like even when the show like I thought was being kind of clumsy with some stuff, listening to the podcast like gave me a different perspective on it, made me enjoy it more, and that's not always the case with those things. So
yeah.
Anyway, if you want to give us money, patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv is the place to do so. Ratings and reviews, tell your friends. We love you. Thank you for listening to us in these crazy times. We'll be back in a couple of days with more X-Force.